Welcome to Podcast West Seattle. My name is Andrew. On each episode of Podcast West Seattle, we take a look at some of the people and places that make West Seattle unique. On this episode, it's the Pandemic Shuffle. We look at one West Seattle resident who changed industries to pursue his dream.
The dream had always been to open up a comic book store.
We also look at one West Seattle space completely reinventing itself.
West Seattle needs a good tiki bar, so we decided we're going to just kind of go for it.
All of this and more is coming up on Podcast West Seattle. As of this recording, it is Friday, October 22nd. We've had generally nice fall weather in West Seattle for the past week or two, but last night was windy and rainy, and it looks like there's more of the same coming up this weekend. Let's check some West Seattle news. Good news and bad news from Seattle Public Schools this week. First, the good. The number of new COVID cases dropped a bit in West Seattle schools. Just 12 new cases last week and no major outbreaks. On the not-so-good side, SPS had to drop about a quarter of their bus routes last week due to a shortage of drivers. The move is being described as indefinite. In other news, sculptor Phillip Levine has died. He's most known in West Seattle for the Walking on Logs sculpture, a favorite of commuters coming off the West Seattle Bridge into West Seattle. The Seattle Times ran an obituary, and you can see an interview with him on the Log House Museum's YouTube channel. Links to both are in the show notes. Now let's see what's coming up in West Seattle this week. The Youngstown Cultural Arts Center will be hosting a photo exhibit by acclaimed photojournalist Tom Reese. The exhibits feature the Duwamish River and Longfellow Creek. This is a rare opportunity right here in West Seattle. The exhibits will be open for viewing Wednesdays from 4 to 6 and Saturdays from noon to 4 through November 6th. The ever-popular Fauntleroy Fall Festival event is back this year. In order to err on the side of caution, the organizers have decided this will be a drive-through event this year. Spots can be reserved on signup.com. You can find the specific link in the show notes. For this episode of Podcast West Seattle, I decided to check out two new businesses on the West Seattle landscape. First up, Tales to Astonish! If you walk along California Avenue just south of the junction, you may see a set of steps, and if you're there at the right time of day, there will be a sign at the bottom of those steps that says, Tales to Astonish! One of West Seattle's newest hidden gems is this brand new comic book shop opened by Shaun Duff.
My name is Shaun Duff. I'm the owner of Tales to Astonish Comic Book Store. We've been open for about 3 months.
One of the prevailing narratives around how COVID has affected the workforce is that of the Great Reshuffle. That is, the pandemic gave people a chance to change careers and industries entirely. And Shaun is an example of that.
I was working what I would call boring office jobs. And when the pandemic happened, I was laid off. And so I basically had several months to think about what I wanted to do. And, the dream had always been to open up a comic book store. So I was like, it's now or never, basically. So, back in January of 2021, I started doing everything I needed to do to open a store.
While the store is new, Shaun's been into comics for a long time.
All the books, pretty much all the books that you see here in the store is from my original collection. There's a couple of exceptions of stuff that I've purchased since we've been open, some books in the bins and the like, but any of the wall books you see, I originally purchased them. Many of which I've sent to CGC to have them graded.
A Detective Comics book marked $3,000 caught my eye.
It's an old Detective Comics. It's number 33, I think, which makes it the 6th appearance of Batman or something like that. So anytime you get any book in that's that old, it's going to be worth something. This one is worth a little bit more because it's Batman. That's just the bottom line.
The Batman?
Yeah, the Batman.
Where did you get this one?
I got that 24, 25 years ago at a small hotel convention around Columbus, Ohio. It was in a box that it was basically just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comics that were all unbagged, unboard, just put into the box, and you flip through, and whatever you could find, you could take for like $10 or something like that. And I saw that, and I was just like, this is too good to be true, and I bought it.
The transition from collector to small business owner has been tough at times.
So when I opened up the store, I had certain toys that I had collected over the years. A lot of those toys were Thanos-related toys because that was my favorite character. So I've got like, the world's largest Thanos collection. I sold actually like quite a few of the toys that I had before we opened.
Yeah, were you cool with that?
Yeah, somewhat. One guy came in here and bought the Thanos metal lunchbox that I had collected, and I was just like, "No, you're not going to take my Thanos lunchbox." But it's fine. At the end of the day,
why did I put a price tag on that?
Why didn't I put $100 on that? I don't know.
In a culture where the conventional wisdom is that everyone gets their comics online, Shaun has found a community of people who want real comic books in a real comic book shop.
It was pretty overwhelming, honestly. When we first opened up, we were just like, we're expecting to lose money for the next year, and that's just how it goes. But there was really an outpouring from the local community, from people who are diehard collectors. We have people that have a monthly pool here, and they pull like 10, 15 comic books a month. And even from people who like aren't necessarily comic book collectors, but they just came in and bought like a couple of trade paperbacks, just something to get them started. New comics come out every Wednesday. Every Wednesday we have new comics from Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, etc.
Thanks, Shaun. You can find Tales to Astonish at 4850 California Avenue, which is basically the intersection of Holden and California. They are open 11 to 7 every day but Monday. Next, I stopped by West Seattle Bowl, where the High Strike Grill has given way to West Seattle's newest bar.
Good. Were you here when it was the High Strike?
I was.
So it's a little different up here, right? Quite the transformation in 3 months. I'm Jeff Swanson, the general manager of West Seattle Bowl and the now Three Lane Lounge. Story is we had the High Strike Grill restaurant, and we were finding that we were selling more food to the lanes and in the bar downstairs than we were in the actual restaurant. Just space wasn't being utilized very well, so we were trying to drum up ideas of what can we do to change the space and make it more useful. And the idea got thrown out. Some of our friends like West Seattle needs a good tiki bar, so we decided we're gonna just kind of go for it. And so we're still keeping the High Strike menu down to the lanes, your normal the chicken strips and the nachos and the pizzas, and then we're gonna do a little different cuisine up here in the 3-9 with some lumpia, pork sliders, and some different type of yakisoba bowl and that kind of stuff. So used to just be booths and tables for when we had the grill. We've got a 24-foot glue lamb bar. It's a solid one-piece bar. We're going to have 10 seats at the bar rail. We've got 5 two-top booths, kind of for cozy, and then we've got some group booths that should seat anywhere between like 8 and 16. Just trying to mix it up and do something different. West Seattle, this is pretty unique to West Seattle, I think, and hopefully people come check it out. No, we're going to be open 4 to midnight every night start. Next Thursday, the 28th.
Thanks, Jeff. The 3-9 Lounge is located at 4505 39th Avenue Southwest, connected to West Seattle Bowl. That concludes this episode of Podcast West Seattle. Please tell a podcast listening friend about us. And until next time, have fun, West Seattle.